Hey y'all, so I decided to do a video, and I think I'm going to work in this book and do some gabbing. So right now this is the picture I'm working on. Call it my shroom head. I have the pencils here that I've been using for these mushrooms. They are all Prismas, and I'll say what they are as I pick them up and get to them. I will be using one luminescent, and in addition to working more on this picture, I was going to answer some questions. A couple of them I have been asked, and then a lot of them are, I've been watching color tubers for years now, and I know there's a lot of different coloring tags that go along, and there's all kinds of them that just contain a bunch of different random questions pertaining from your personal self to actual coloring questions. And I kind of just took from all of those different videos I've seen and pulled some questions and combined them with each other and kind of added a couple of my own. And yeah, so we're just gonna kind of do that. And so I wasn't sure if I should just do all coloring questions first and then talk some personal questions. But I think that's what I'm going to do, is just go through the coloring ones and then hit into the personal ones. And so what I've got going on my picture, I'm going to finish this section here before I move on. Wrapping it around, almost done with this part. So I got almost all of the stem and underside going on here done, and then I'll hit those caps. So what I need to do to top that off is I'm going to use my 10% French gray, and I guess the first question I'm going to answer is my medium of choice, which I've mentioned it before in other videos, but I am definitely a pencil girl. I like to use some black acrylic paint. I use Posca. I dip into some gel pens for some tiny details and little bitty things. Love my stickles. Love me some glitter and sparkle. But oh, and my ink tints. I get down with my ink tints too. But as far as like markers go, I'm not much of a marker girl, but I don't have much experience with it either. I just really haven't cared to play around with markers that much. Other mediums, I'm starting to dabble in more wet mediums. Gelatos and watercolors and things of that nature, but my medium of choice is pencils. Okay, so got me a nice little index card here as a little edge protector, just because that's what I'm working off of now. And I'm going to go right on over top of what I've already done, which is the let's see, beige sienna, and then I used some sienna brown, and then on top of that went some sand, and now the 10% French gray. Grayscale or no. I don't mind straight up line art or grayscale, but I do enjoy a good grayscale. I don't like the heavy black, heavy darker ones, but I think if I had to choose between the two, I would probably pick grayscale. My favorite pencils, and this is kind of, this is a tough one because I have a few different pencil sets, and then I have like my top 3 and my main 3. And I use my main 3 so interactively and almost always together that I just don't use one pencil. So that's a hard question. But obviously my Prismas. I do love my Prismas, but I would not want to be without my Luminescence or my Pablos. And like I said, I use my Pablos, Lumis, and Prismas all together all the time, ever since I've gotten all of them now. Just, for me, they just go hand in hand. Favorite markers. Well, I don't really have a favorite marker. Again, I don't use markers if I don't, I don't put gel pens in the same category as markers. So I don't have a favorite marker. My top 5 favorite books. This was hard because I love so many books. Now, I did already do a video that was strictly my top 10 favorite artists, and I had a few honorable mentions in that, and I found that hard to do. But if you want to check out that video, I'll put a link below in the description for that. And for this, the top 5 books, I had to really think about it, and so here they are in no particular order. Friends from My Imaginary World by Jane F Hankins. I love all Jane F Hankins books, but that was the book that actually introduced me to who she was and her art, and it just kind of, it opened the gate. And I have since acquired almost every book she has put out, including PDF books and novels she's written, and I love them all. But that is my favorite book. It started it all for me with collecting that artist, and I probably have the most completed pictures in that book out of all of the books I have of hers. Then we have Surreal Fantasy by Ikuko. Like the first book I just mentioned, this book is also one of the ones that I know I will be buying for a second time. I didn't think that would happen to me, where I would buy the same book more than once, but yeah, it's gonna be happening. Then Imaginary Friends, hence this book, Karolina Kubikoska. I have her last 3 books. I have missed out on her first book, but I am a hunting, and I hope to someday track it down and own it. Some way, somehow. I want that book. I am not going to pay an outrageous price to get it. However, I will always keep my eye out for the opportunity to snatch it up. So this book I'm working in right now is in my top 5 favorite books. Her newest book, Magic Hour, I have that also, and it was a really close call. But I did go with this one. I like the size of it. I don't know. This is the one I picked. Number 4 is going to be Beautiful Creatures by Mystic Art Mirrors. I have 4 books from her now, and it's a little harder to talk in color than it looks, people. Y'all that do this quite often, wow, you make it look so easy. So, Beautiful Creatures, I just got the new one, Into the Wild, and like I said, I have a couple other ones, Fairytopia and the Zodiac and Galaxy Girl book, I believe is what it's called, or something to that effect. And I love them all. And there's a few more of hers that I'm still aiming to get. But Beautiful Creatures really, and this is Carmen Red. Beautiful Creatures really struck me. And oddly enough, I think it's like Fairy Tale Princess or something like that. But whatever princess book that Mystic Art Mirrors did is what caught my attention and led me to look up that artist. But when I saw Beautiful Creatures, I was like, ooh, I think that's going to be the first one I get. And that's what happened. So, and then last but not least, I thought about this a lot too. I could have chosen so many books. There's so many great ones, and I'm fortunate to have a lot of great ones, and so many that everyone's familiar with. The Clara Makova books, even Jasmine Beckett Griffith. I mean, they're awesome. I could have made a top 10 list even, or I could have went further, or top favorite books or whatever. But I just wanted to keep it shorter and tighten it up a little bit. So I went with the 5. So my number 5 is Best of Line Art by Micah Jelena. I love all of her art books, and I can't wait to get more. That's the only one I have of hers, is the Best of Line Art. And when I got that, it was kind of like a little bit of a sampler from a few of her other books, and I thought I'll just go with that to get a little bit of everything out of it. So yeah, beautiful, or Best of book by Micah Jelena. And coloring. What do I color to? TV, YouTube, music, silent. Well, I like it when it's quiet. And this is Deco Pink. And I'm just going to pick a spot and add some in there in one area. As much as I love when I get some quiet time, it very rarely is. So most commonly, the 2 kids are going on and I hear stuff from them, and something's always happening and always going on pretty much. So I think I would say I color to YouTube, more specifically other color tubers, most of the time. Occasionally I will switch over and maybe just color to some music. And then here I'm switching to Scarlet Lake. Everybody Needs Sharpened. I'm using my handy dandy Tagal. Yeah, most of the time it's just YouTube. Color tubers. And so then where do you color? Well, since we have recently bought a house and moved, I now have a basement, which I did not have before. And in the basement, it's a finished basement, and in the basement it is big enough that everybody's kind of got their own area. there's plenty of family space, and there is me space. So I've got this corner picked out, and instead of building walls and actually walling it up and have an official door and all that kind of thing, I want to, what would be an L-shaped 2-wall system. Instead, I want to get some red curtains hung up and just have my little corner, I say my little corner, which it's a pretty good size area, curtained off for myself. And I currently have my art carts and an armoire that's going to hold my crochet and yarn goodies. And excuse me, it is in process of being all put together. And I most recently for this area got my desk, which I have a pretty good large work surface. Super happy about it. Cadmium orange hue, and that's going to go over top of the pink. So yeah, I'm in the basement, and I love it. It's great, and everybody wants to be down here with me, so I'm rarely alone. I am now, but that's because it's super late and everybody in the house is in bed. The dogs are snoring, and so yeah, if you hear a little something in the background, that's going to be a dog snoring. I don't know if you guys can actually hear that or not, but that's what's happening. And I thought I would take this opportunity while I actually am by myself to get this video out. So now I'm going to go back and do, wait a minute. Oh, ooh. I'm going to grab my Tuscan, and I'm going to do a little bottom to the little bumps. Darken them up just a little bit, and then go on some outlining here. But when my area is all complete, there's going to be curtains, and there's going to be a rug and a bookshelf, and I have some art prints and a couple other pieces that I'm going to frame and hang on the walls around me. So yeah, it's in process, but that's my area. That's where I color now. This is my spot. Since I've got the desk, I've been consistently just coloring here. And you know, I might feel froggy and take something I'm working on and go back up to the family room and pile up on the coffee table and hang out, but that has not happened yet. And then let's see, do you color alone? Well, I've sort of answered this a little bit. This is where I'm grabbing that Lumi, and it is Crimson Alzarine. Probably not going to say that right, but it's $5.89. And I'm going to give a little bit to the edges here. Lightly. I don't want to go too dark. I'll come back in with a second round anyway. Everything's getting a second round. No, I don't really color alone. I have 2 kids, and at least mostly they're both always with me, even though they might be doing their own thing. Back to the Carmen Red, but at least one of the 2 is with me, unless I sneak in some time like this when everyone is in bed. And then yes, I get to be alone, which, don't get me wrong, I love my kids, I love my family, being together, but I can appreciate some alone time too. I was an only child, and I don't have any problem with being by myself. I'm perfectly content. I wouldn't want to be by myself all the time, but I definitely content in my alone time. And then, let's see, do you swatch? Yes. Initially, years ago when I first dove into the adult coloring world, I thought, well, oh, I'm not going to do that. I don't need to do that. When I want to check a color, I'll just scribble it down and go from there. And then I seen the light, and all of you people who have done it, you're all right. Now I'm going back to the Scarlet Lake, and only difference is that, and I know I'm not the only one that does this way, but I didn't go for the individual swatch chart sheets. I started to initially, but then I was like, well, way back when I first started this, I would leave my house daily and I would go babysit. You know, traveling happened a little more often in years past, and I'd go to Florida and we'd go on weekend whatevers and this, that, and the other. So I was commonly packing a backpack and throwing a chunk of my stuff together and taking it with me, even if it didn't get touched while I was gone, which happened. It was with me at least. I liked having it with me, knowing I had the option to grab it, pick it up if I wanted to. And I just thought I wanted to do it. I wanted something more convenient. So I got a sketchbook, and this is something I'd say maybe, early last year I started doing. And I can actually show it to you too. I got this sketchbook, and of course, you know, I had to start decorating it with some random stickers. My critter stickers. I'm a critter girl. That's from Anastasia Ellie, one of her stickers. And so I just got this plain white multimedia sketchbook, and I started swatching in it. And I have swatched out, not everything I have, but most of it. Most of the big sets and things I have anyway. And I have plenty room left. So I swatch in this book. That way, when I'm on the go and I pack my bag, I grab that book and I know I have everything right there at my fingertips, basically. Where do you buy your books? I buy from Etsy and direct artist websites and Amazon. Now, I have picked up books at the grocery store, at Walmart, at the Dollar General, and I think the better books I've gotten from places like that was maybe my local Walmart, back to the cadmium orange hue, and it's going to go all over, was a few Johanna Basford books and a couple Kirby Rosane books, but otherwise I wouldn't say any particularly big coloring books or bigger known artists or anything that I've picked up from in store. But for me, all of my faves and such have come from like I said, the Etsy, direct artist websites, and Amazon. And then the last directly coloring question I have is, have I completed any coloring book? And the answer to that is absolutely, definitely no. I think the closest I am is the Friends from My Imaginary World by Jane F Hankins book. I've done a lot more pictures in that than any book. But no, I haven't completed any. Do I think I ever will? Yeah, absolutely. That's why I've already started a list of books I will rebuy, because I love them so much that I want to color those pictures again. So yeah, they'll be completed books. Do I think I'll complete a book in the year 2021? I doubt it. Anything's possible. But I'm not going to force myself to. I'm good if I don't. As long as I'm still coloring and I get books colored in, then that's good enough for me. I'm going to throw a touch more of my 10% French gray in here. Just because it makes me happy. And then I'm going to do a little bit more with this Lumi 589. So, personal questions. I was kind of skeptical on what kind of questions I should do for this, but here we go. What else besides coloring do I do? Well, I'm a mom and a wife, a stay-at-home mom and wife. So I have all the normal mom and household things that I do. I cook, so I make sure supper gets done. We do more cooking than eating out, but we do eat out, and when we do eat out, I appreciate it. Those are my break times. And I crochet. I have recently started dabbling and learning and getting into junk journaling. I like crafts of a lot, honestly. So that's a big variation there. I could go in a lot of different directions. I just like being creative and making stuff. So I collect crystals and fossils. So before the changes of this past year, I used to go to gem and mineral shows and check out fossils and stuff all the time. And then otherwise, me and the kids quite regularly, weather permitting of course, it's a seasonal activity, but we go creeking and we hunt for fossils and things like that. And so there's a lot of that's done. The kids are into it too. They have their own collections themselves. And I like to read and then just hang out. We quite often have dance parties. We turn the disco light on and get my speaker thumping and dance. The kids will dance, I'll dance with the kids. We just have a good time. Easy. We have another section of the basement has my old kitchen table set up for the game table, and there's another armoire over there on that side of the basement that holds all kinds of board games and card games and the other things like assignment and whatever. So that's like the little gaming section, and I will play games with the kids, and we play stuff like a lot of the classics, but we like Uno and Yahtzee. The kids like to play Life a lot. I love playing Yahtzee. We play Mousetrap. Of course, we have Monopoly. My boy is a checker obsessed. He loves playing checkers. So we do a lot of that stuff. We have a whiteboard and a bunch of dry erase markers, and we do stuff like win, lose, or draw, and we'll even play some good old-fashioned charades. So just spending time and playing games with the family. Of course, we'll kick back and do a movie night and, you know, popcorn and all that kind of thing, but like, I like doing stuff, so we might craft together or play games, or like I said, just jam out. So yeah, favorite sport to watch? Well, this one's a little rougher these days. So much has changed. But my favorite sport to actually watch in person or on TV, I'm gonna have to go with football. And we are a Houday house, and I know for football people, a lot of you, that might be hard to understand. They haven't really been a winning team. However, I don't want to abandon my team and just jump on with whoever's doing well at the time. I feel like I gotta stick with it and through thick and thin type of situation here. And yeah, so yeah, we're a Houday house. And my favorite sport to play, I am going to have to go with volleyball. Again, before things changed, it's like you have to constantly say that with so much things nowadays, but before things took a turn, it was on the regular. Again, weather permitting, it's a seasonal thing, but we have a few different lakes in the area that we meaning me and my husband, or me and friends, we would get together with all of our kids and we'd go hit the lakes. And one of them has a sandy beach volleyball court area, and me and my friend, we spend a lot of time there doing that. One day we spent hours just doing nothing but playing volleyball, just hours of it, non-stop, eating the sand burn on the knees, whatever. Good times. Loved it. Can't wait to be doing those things again. And type of music. This is a rough one too, because I really don't have one style of music. I was raised with a variety of music. I had a grandpa that could tear a piano up playing boogie woogie, and so that cold type of music, blues and boogie woogie and any of that, I totally got into with him, and love a lot of that stuff. And then my parents were good old rock and roll, that type of stuff. Then I had, growing up to now, whatever, you know, was current and relevant to my generation. So it really depends on my mood. So I try not to sit around with sad music all the time. I don't like to bring myself down. So I try to avoid that. Every once in a while I get the feels for it, but you know. But yeah, it just depends on my mood. So I can listen to current music and oldies, and I mean I could go back. I could go way back. I could go like Etta James and older even. So stuff that was from the 20s, the 40s, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, up to present. I'm into it, can be into it, depending on my mood. So I listen to a little bit of everything. Country, rap, current, metal, rock, blues, bluegrass, gospel, all kinds of stuff. So I like bass. I like good beat. I like soulful. Yeah. Favorite sweet treat. I don't have a major sweet tooth, but I do have a favorite candy, and that is giant chewy sweet tarts. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, they're about this big around. It's just a sweet tart. You get 4 flavors in a pack, and they're like this big around, and they're not a gummy, but they're chewy. So, oh, man, I love those things. I don't get them that often, and it's been quite a while since I've had them. Now I'm talking about them, I'm like, hubby's gonna have to stop by and get me some on his way home from work. Now that's a candy. So if I was gonna say, you know, any kind of like chocolatey something, I have learned after this past Christmas, I had my first, and I'm probably not gonna pronounce it right, Ferrero Rocher, whatever chocolates. I'm like, ugh, those things are pretty good, but I'm not a big chocolate person. But my typical go-to chocolate treat is a Nutty Buddy. A Nutty Butter, Nutty Buddy, whatever they're called. So, but again, I don't do those too often either. I just, I'm more of a salty person than sweet treat person, so. And then, favorite munchie or snack? I like my popcorn, particularly movie popcorn, drowned it in butter that's really bad for you and whatever. Probably too much salt also, but, you know, oops. But I'm going to have to go with salsa. I am a big salsa and chip person. Like, I could almost just live on salsa and chips. And I do not like jarred salsa. I'm real particular about my salsa. And I usually like my salsa hotter than what you can get anyway. And so I make my own salsa. But I do it pretty regularly. Like once a week, once every 2 weeks. I will make a pretty large batch. Like almost 20 tomatoes worth batch of salsa. And yeah, that's kind of my go-to thing. So, my favorite season. Okay. This is easy for me. Now, fall is pretty. You know, you get the gandering and everything, and you see all the pretty changing colors and blah, blah, blahs, and yay. It's beautiful what happens in the fall. But I'm a summer girl. I like it hot. I want it hot enough to swim. I'm a water baby. And I like to be barefoot and sunshine, and yeah. So summer for sure. My favorite holiday. They're all great, but my very, very favorite is Christmas. I love it. I get real nostalgic at Christmas time. It's all the lights and the Christmas ornaments and decorating the Christmas tree and just all the fun stuff that comes with it. I love it. I love giving people presents and watching the reactions to getting something. But I really love Christmas. This past Christmas was amazing. First one in our new house. I was so excited and completely bummed out when it came time to take down the decorations. Okay, do you have any pets? Oh boy. Well, I could have probably made a video just about this, but the answer to that, and I'm going to try to keep this whole situation as short as possible, is yes. What do we have? Well, my son has 2 cats, and they were basically rescue. It was a street cat, and she was already pregnant, and we found homes. I shouldn't just say we got rid of. We didn't just get rid of, but we went through the effort of finding homes for all of them except for 2. And so he had 3 cats, the mama and 2 babies. And he's so much a cat person. And he just loves his cats. And so one day, the mama cat, we found her gone. She had passed away. And we didn't know what was up with that. No explanation, didn't make sense. And when we got to 2 female kittens we still had to the vet to have them spayed, they found out that they had a hereditary internal thing going on. And so they had to have extra surgery on top of being spayed to correct it before it became a problem that could have pretty much would have killed them. And we discussed the mother with them, and they said, yeah, that was probably what was wrong with her, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we have 2 cats left. So I was going to try to keep this section short, but I don't know. Okay, so then we have 6, yes, I say 6 dogs. Yay. We did not buy or seek out any of them, okay? Our youngest 2 are our biggest 2. And my mother-in-law, years ago, rescued a dog off the streets. She had a male dog. The rescued dog off the streets had an oops litter before she could make it to her appointment to actually be spayed. Once she had that litter and everything from that was cleared up, she did get spayed and there was no more litters. But the oops litter happened, and at that time, I only had 1 dog. Our big dog had passed away, long life, had 2 terminal illnesses. He lived past his life expectancy, but so it wasn't unreasonable for us to tell her that we would take one of the puppies from her oops litter. And the 1 puppy turned into 2 puppies because they were kind of like bestie siblings, and we didn't want to separate them, so we ended up with 2. And they are Black Lab and Pit Bull mix, and they are going to be 12 years old this coming March. And like I said, those 2 are our biggest 2, and they are our youngest 2. And so the next two medium ones were, well, one is a red freckled nose, a red freckled beagle. And she showed up as a stray. We searched for owners for a long time. We believe that she was being bred out. She was a couple years old when she showed up. And then after not locating owners, we decided to have her fixed and find her a home. And so I worked on that for a while, and she was homed 5 times over a period of several months. And every time she would escape and she ran away, and she would show back up at our place. And one time, and it wasn't like she was just down the street or around the corner or something. One time she was, but she would be off in there, in the world, you know. And one time she had escaped and took off, and she had been gone from that person for nearly 2 weeks. It took her before she made her way and found our home again. But here she came, and me and my husband just like, okay, I think she's our dog. We give up. We're not gonna try this anymore. We're just gonna keep her. And so we had her microchipped like the rest of them and called it quits. And that was that. And the other one is this is in the 2 medium girls. The other one is a Corgi pit bull mix. She's the funniest thing ever. Oh my gosh. Pit bull head, them short little legs, long body. It's hysterical. She's a doll, and we adore her. And they are both pushing 14. And from the Oops litter, my big guys, one of them is a boy, Breezy and Brewster. Brewster is our only boy dog. All the rest of the dogs are girls. So that's Breezy and Brewster, the big guys. The 2 middle girls are Fifi and Molly. And then I have my 2 little girls. Now, one of my little girls, my Penny, she's a little terrier mix. Oh, she's adorable, and she's my little buddy. That's my girl right there. And she was with us when we had our Roddy that passed away. And oh, she has been in the mountains off-road jeeping with me. She has kind of like rode the rapids, and she has been canoeing and kayaking, and she's been on a motorcycle, and she's 4-wheeled, and she's done a lot of stuff. She's been to a lot of places with us, done a lot of things. And she is my buddy, my girl. And then the other little girl is a Chihuahua mix, and her name is Jill, and she was originally not mine. I got her, I volunteered at the animal shelter, and one day she was being brought in to be put down because the owners were tired of having her, and per owner request, they wanted to have her put down and be done with it. And I told them I was about done with my volunteer time, and if they wanted to meet me out in the parking lot, I would take that dog. And that they did not have to put her down. And that she would have a home. And I got her and beauty shopped her up and went on a little shopping spree for a new collar and a leash and all these little goodies, treats, food, whatever. And I took and gave her to my grandma. And that was my grandma's little girl for quite a long time. And she would come to my house and visit every so often, and I would take care of her beauty shopping needs. So my grandma didn't have to tend to any of that stuff and do her nails and all that kind of thing. So she was used to coming to our place. We'd make a slumber party of it, and her and my little Penny would run around, and they'd have a ball together, and everybody would play and have fun and all this, that, and the other. And all of them got along. And then when my grandparents' health went down, they moved in with me and I took care of them, and she came with them. And when they passed away, I would have anyway, but my grandma said, please keep her in the family. Don't ditch her, basically. And I was like, absolutely not. So she was my grandma's, and I kept her because my grandma's no longer with me. So that's how we got her. So that's my girls, all my dogs. It's a crew, and I'm not done. But wait, there's more. We also have 3 parrots. There are 2 blue and gold macaws and a Congo African gray. Congo African gray, me and my husband went to Tennessee and acquired her. Crazy circumstances, and it was a 2-state drive for that. And but it was, the guy really needed to get rid of her, and she was young, and yeah. So that's our Gracie May. And she loves my husband. She tolerates me to get to my husband. And that's how that is. Which, whatever. Now the macaws. Oh, she is, let's see, how old is Gracie now? She is 16. She just turned 16 this past July. And then one of the blue and gold macaws, Julesy, is just turned 19, I'm sorry. Just turned 19 this past January. And the other macaw, Rocky, I have actually known since I was 4 years old. And my grandpa had bought him as an egg and waited for him to hatch and all that kind of business. And then my grandpa passed away, and he was with my grandma. And then he was with my aunt and uncle. And then when my aunt and uncle were both retired and moving out of state, they called me up and told me it was my turn. So I am 3rd generation to have Rocky living with me. So he's pretty much always been a part of my family. I've known him pretty much my whole entire life. And so that's Rock. And he knows my name, and I love Rocky. I love them all. They all have their own personalities, and they all have their place, and they all do their little whatever thing that is unique to them and make me laugh and all that kind of thing. So they are a lot of work, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody to have so many, but we make it work. I grew up on a farm, and I used to be milking 47 different goats every day. So we had all kinds of things going on all the time. So I'm kind of used to it a little bit. So all my dogs are older. Unfortunately, we all know that dogs' lives aren't that long, and the bigger the dog, the shorter the lifespan. They're all heartbreakers. It's going to kill me when I start losing them, and we are starting to enter that phase of life for that. And so we aren't going to have 6 dogs forever, and it's sad, and I don't like it, but that's where we are in life. So do what we got to do. Moving on. Favorite animal. Well, like I was saying, I grew up on a farm, and dairy goat and hog farm, And my grandmother did animal rescue, and she not only did animal rescue for domesticated animals, but also for wildlife. So I was exposed to a lot of critters, and I was around a lot of critters up close and personal and hands-on that not everybody is. You know, some other people do. I mean, it's not uncommon per se, but just it's not your normal cat and dog, rabbit, fish type situation. I'm talking coons, possums, foxes, snakes, rabbits, gophers, all kinds of stuff. So I love a lot of things. I love all animals. I cherish all creatures, even the creepy crawly bugs and stuff. And raccoons are way up there on my fave list. And it's a tough call, so I have to give it a tie between raccoons and pigs. Pigs are just awesome. I've always said that when the day comes that I never have another dog, I'm going to get a pig. I wouldn't mind having a big old farm hog, but I know that wouldn't work out well in my house at some point because I know how big they actually get. But if I could find a true potbelly pig, I would be all about it. Only it would have to come through a rescue. I'm not going to be buying and purchasing via that way. It would definitely have to be through a rescue situation. But I can see that happening in my later future, that it'd be my pig and my birds eventually. Okay. Older TV shows that I still go back to and watch in reruns. And I chose this question for a few reasons. But I will start with the Waltons. When I was a kid, it was on in reruns. And my parents liked to watch it, and I couldn't stand it. It got on my nerves so bad. I liked Little House on the Prairie when I was a kid, but I couldn't stand the Waltons. I don't know why. And now I love the Waltons. It gets very nostalgic for me for, you know, familiarity with my grandparents and my aunts and my uncles and my great aunts and uncles. I was raised around with a lot of older kinfolk, so there's just a lot of familiarity there for me. And so yeah, I like the Waltons. So I'll catch me an episode of the Waltons every now and again. And I still enjoy watching Little House on the Prairie. Now, my daughter watches Little House on the Prairie, and she enjoys that show. She doesn't care about the Waltons too much, but she enjoys Little House. So we still watch that one too. And Roseanne. Yeah, I like Roseanne. It has a lot of funny moments in it and brings back memories. So Roseanne, we'll catch that here and there. And the newest throwback in reruns for the house is was one of my, and I used to watch it with her when I was growing up. And it was on randomly one day, and my daughter caught some of it, and she was like, "What show is this?" And I was like, "Oh, well, let me tell you." And so she was like, "Huh," and I looked into it, and I found the whole season from episode 1, and we started, and we're just into season 2. And so we're watching together, me and my daughter, Quantum Leap. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with Quantum Leap, but she's digging it, and I'm digging it that she's digging it, and it's fun to watch with her, and remember watching with my grandma, who loved it so much, and so that's been a good time. But it's not something we do, you know. I wouldn't even say, I don't even watch a TV show every single day. So, not a lot of TV watching goes on, but when it happens, this is the stuff we're watching. Favorite current TV show. So this was kind of hard too, because I'm like, wow, I kind of feel really out of touch with what's current on TV, because again, there's not a lot of TV watching that goes on in my house. I mean, my husband is the big TV person. He's the one that, like, he watches all kinds of stuff. And me and him used to have several shows that was like me and him shows to watch. And then I just slowly kind of like, well, I got other stuff I kind of want to do more. So I just started giving up watching certain things. And I DVR it, but so my current favorite TV show is going to be This Is Us, because that's pretty much the biggest one that I DVR, and if I'm going to sit down, I'll be like, let me throw this on, catch up, see what's up, and watch it. So This Is Us. It's going to be my pick on that one. Now, do you have kids? So obviously, I've mentioned already that I'm a mother and I have kids. And we have a daughter who's about to turn 14. Scary times, y'all. Scary times. Pray for me. And then I have a son who just recently turned 10. And he is... oh, he's something else, I swear. He's amazing. I mean, they both are, but my daughter, she's going to be the blame and cause of every gray hair I ever get in my life. And my son is the suck up, basically. I'll just say it. He's the suck up, but in a good way. Like, he doesn't, I mean, he plays it right, you know? And, so yeah. And then, are you married? Well, you heard me mention my husband. So, yes, I'm married. How long? Well, we just celebrated January 29th was 27 years anniversary that we met, been together. Because we've been together since we met, basically. And this past December is when we celebrated our wedding anniversary. So we had 26 years married so far. So that's how where we are in that part of life. Besides color tubers, what else do I watch on YouTube? Ooh, obviously a lot of color tubers. Other art channels, like, I don't know if art channels that do not involve adult coloring books, if they're considered color tubers or not. So there's some artist channels I watch, fossil hunting channels, and gem channels where thhere out hunting at public mines, people digging up big old chunks of amethyst and Herkimer diamonds and different things. Metal detecting. Into that, the kids are really, really wanting to get their own metal detectors and hit the ground and dig up some magical treasures. My son, the 10-year-old, he's like, he wants to get out there and find Civil War relics and things like that. And I watch spit it out. Thrifters for reselling. I always find that interesting. Sometimes depressing, because there's things that they get and then I see them resell it and I think they got how much for that. Be like, I had 2 of those when I was a kid, or you know, I grew up seeing this and that and the other in the house, and I'm like, it's worth how much now? People are paying what? So sometimes it gets depressing, but yeah, I watch some thrifters that resell stuff. Other crafty kind of channels. And then just weird stuff like informational, educational, weird stuff. I'm sure you hear that. That's one of my dogs coughing. She is, that's the beagle, and she has, she's a little rough. She's older and she has cancer that they're not able to do surgery for. So we're just kind of riding it out and, you know, seeing how far she can go before it's too much on her type of situation. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and some general information and weird information and maybe too much information. I don't know. Try to cover a little bit of everything, I reckon. And a little bit of color time. It's always good to get some color time in. Oh, that was the beige sienna. Now we're going with sienna brown. So I don't know. I'm new to all this YouTube stuff and trying to kind of get my bearings and learn the ropes and the basics and things. I plan on doing more videos of coloring and talking. I have some other videos out. If you would like to check those out, I'd appreciate it. And of course, if you could hit that thumbs up and subscribe and share and comment and all that fun stuff, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm always going to be coming up with something. Like I said, I will link the video to my top 10 artists in the description below. And hopefully, if you stuck with me this long, you've enjoyed yourself, maybe laughed at me, which is great. I don't mind. And until next time, later y'all.